Welcome back, friends, to the Adventure Starts Here podcast. This week, we played Jigoku Kisetsukan, Sense of the Seasons, a free itch.io game. This was an intermezzo game before Ben's pick for next week, so this episode is a bit shorter than usual. I hope you enjoy the more bite-sized content. Thank you for listening. All right, so this week we played, I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Ben, would you like to introduce this game?
Thomas, would you like to pronounce the words?
The game's called Jigoku Kisetsukan. Go ahead, take us away, Ben.
At least I'll just call it Jigoku, because that's what my American lips and tongue can handle. So
you call it Sense of Seasons, that's what it's...
You
that's
could,
what it translates to.
Is that the direct translation? I didn't know if it
Yeah.
was or if it was a subtitle.
Yeah,
So
I don't
in
know
that
why
case,
I don't know why he even has it in Japanese.
I don't know.
I think it's just like
just
an homage
weeb.
to Touhou.
Feel like it's just weeb shit, but regardless,
Yeah,
we played Sense of Seasons, which is a free-to-play bullet hell on Steam, and originally I found it on itch. I found it years ago, back when I was working on my own bullet hell, and I was just looking for inspiration, and I just ended up liking the game quite a bit, mostly because it was free. I don't know how I would feel about it if I paid for it, but considering the price, I thought it was pretty good, and I just wanted to share it with other people and let people know about it. And that's about it. It's a very Touhou inspired game, and yeah, that's all I really got to say about it.
I think the first question I wanted to ask you guys, because I'm not sure about Thomas, but I'm pretty sure that Jordan and Ben play quite a bit of shmups. I play like none. The only one I've ever really played in my entire life, like actually, was one of the older like PS2, I think, Gradius games. And like I don't know if you count Fury as a shmup, but that for sure, that's probably like a lot of corollary that I'm going to draw to this game. But the question I wanted to ask you guys to start, especially those of you who play them more, is like what do you actually like about these games? To say nothing about this game, but like broadly, why do you like bullet hells? And did this game do anything differently that made you like it more, or the opposite?
Sure, I guess I do like the intricate design of the patterns where there's like a lot of mathematics behind it, but like you don't actually need to understand that to actually enjoy or play the game. You just need the base knowledge that you need to play a bullet hell or any shmup is basically you move and you shoot and you dodge. So that's what I like about it. Where like the player's interaction and involvement with the game is very simple, but it's very difficult because of the patterns themselves.
Yeah, I like the dexterity challenge and like the feeling of like when you're weaving through the shit and then like you get through a pattern without dying. Just very like
Yeah.
rewarding.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's more like specific to like Touhou-esque games where there's usually an emphasis on grazing to the point where there is like scoring systems related to it, and also like sometimes Touhou games have like resource gathering based on how much you graze the bullets, and by graze I mean you have to like be near the bullets and you'll hear like a little click noise. In this game, it's not too like involved where all it does is just add a little bit to your score. And I think that if you try to graze a lot in this game, you're probably just gonna die a fuck ton. So that's why when I played it, I played pretty defensively, and I played like a bitch basically, and I didn't try to score very high because I thought this game was actually pretty difficult in comparison to like other games at similar difficulties.
That's interesting because I thought this game was like way easier than like even the old Touhou games. I don't know much about the new ones, but the jumps in difficulty, which like Tom mentioned, is weird. Like because there's like a significant jumps, and also I think the difficulty is all over the place. Like Touhou is usually pretty good about like
Ramping it
giving
up.
you progressive patterns. This game, like the first boss for me on Hell, I'm only talking about Hell. The first boss on Hell was like the hardest part for me for a while.
Yeah, there's some weirdness going on with like the patterns in this game where like a lot of them are inspired by other games. Like there's a lot of Touhou 15 games or Touhou 15 patterns I saw where it was kind of like Who's Lila and David Lynch, where like you guys wouldn't care, but when I saw them, I was like, this is like bordering on plagiarism.
Yeah.
And if I felt like doing more effort, I'd put it up in the B-roll like a side-to-side comparison, but that's a lot of work. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But even then, there's like certain gimmicks that were used that like other bullet helps and shmups use, but like they were introduced pretty early on in this game, which surprised me. Like I think even the second boss had like a boss pattern, or I think it was actually just a mini boss where like when the bullets they shot hit the edge of the screen, they would
Oh
ricochet
yeah,
and bounce back. And I'm like, you're doing that on the second stage? It's kind of
Yeah.
spicy.
Yeah, agreed.
and that's for like that was like you guys on easy too, right? That wasn't
Yeah,
even like a later
Yeah.
mechanic. Yeah, which is crazy because like yeah, dealing with bullets coming from the bottom of the screen is like I would say intermediate to advanced.
Yeah, I agree about the difficulty though, because like I said in the OneNote, I tried to play through this game like maybe 3 or 4 times on normal, and I couldn't do it. Like I mean, I suck at these games. Like the hardest thing I've ever done in these games, I 1CC'd Perfect Cherry Blossom 20 years ago, close to 20 years ago, and since then I've never really played them. So this game was like whooping my ass on normal, and I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm just gonna jump down to easy so that I can at least like see all the bosses and stuff. And I almost beat it without dying. And the only reason I did die is because I bombed and got in the boss's face to smack it, and I hung out too long and got bipped. So I just thought it was like very bizarre how the game was fucking murdering me on normal, and then I switched to easy, and it lived up to the name on the tin, I guess.
I'm a little curious for you guys to go a little bit deeper into the patterns of the boss in this game and how they like meaningfully differentiate themselves from other games, because when I compare this to a game like Fury, I think of like very, very defined, I think, patterns in that game. Like I'm thinking in particular, there's the angel boss in that game where there's like a specific like kind of maze that you have to move through. There's like a defined path that you have to move through. This game doesn't really do that, and I don't think a lot of these bullet hells do that. It's kind of more chaotic, but I'm wondering if it's
uh,
actually chaotic or if I just don't like if I'm not familiar enough with the patterns to recognize the order to it.
yeah. I think it's familiarity because like a lot of the best bullet hells and shmups have actually they're mostly deterministic. There's actually very there's not to say that there's no RNG. There's definitely some patterns that are RNG, and those are like the more challenging ones. But for the most part, the way that you play and get good at these games is that you basically route them like you're speed running. So like
Exactly.
if you look up like a if you just go on YouTube and you just look up like a God Gamer's playthrough of these games, that also doubles as like a walkthrough where like if you just copy their movements for the most part, you can just do the same thing and beat the game. So and also I think that it's fair to compare it to Fury because Fury is very Touhou coded, and I think that like if you were more used to playing these games, you'd be able to like kind of play them similarly, where you would just ride out those like maze like movements that you kind of described.
Yeah, because I was wondering, um, in some ways, like the feeling that I get playing these games is the exact same feeling I get playing rhythm games. Like the way that you just kind of get in the zone and like focus on what you're doing, and it just kind of becomes like this unconscious thing. Uh, and I was wondering, like, because I remember like playing rhythm games in public, people would like come up to you and be like, "Did you memorize all that?" It's like, no, dude, what the fuck? So I was wondering like what like degree of like there is with just memorization and just like getting into that flow state of just recognizing and just yeah, just basically being in the zone and just being able to do what you need to do versus how much memorization there is.
That being said, I do feel like this game, like especially with like all the difficulty jumps and like how they introduce weird gimmicks really early on, that it does feel like you're kind of hanging on by like an ass pube, like trying to
Yeah.
figure it out, and it does make it feel like it may be like really chaotic and random, even though the underlying mechanics of the patterns are probably very defined and deterministic. It's just really hard to like actually, especially if you're new to these types of games, like like seeing it right away.
Yeah, I think you are describing perfectly a feeling that I had where like I would sometimes feel myself getting in that flow state a little bit, but it's not like the flow state I get into with like WoW specifically, I suppose, or like Dark Souls and Elden Ring style games. It was like I was in that flow state, but at the same time it felt like someone was like shoving a fucking railroad spike up my ass during the entire time. And like what I started to notice that I feel like is the reason that I don't like these games is, or well, saying I don't like these games is a bit of a strong statement. But I don't play them very much, and I felt like it was for this reason, which is like I'll be on a boss, and there'll just be these fucking Christmas lights all over the goddamn place, and I feel like someone like had a fucking like neon lit bowl of fruity pebbles that they're throwing in my face, and I just like can't process anything of what's going on. So even though I'm in that flow state, I'm just like so overstimulated by everything that's happening that I can't really get there.
Well,
Yeah,
I feel like that, like, to me, what that sounds like is like you're not really in that flow state, or at least you're not like skilled enough to the point to where you can stay in it. Because like that's like the same thing kind of with rhythm games almost, where it's like you can get into that flow state, but as soon as there's something that's like a little bit too hard, you're going to be jolted out of it, and you're going to like fuck things up. So if you haven't played these games a lot, getting into the flow state may not be hard, but the hard part is like sustaining it to where you can actually like do the things that the game's asking you to do.
yeah, and it's also kind of the reason why these games will always be pretty niche is because like 90% of the bullets on the screen you don't actually have to worry about. You really only need to worry about the space that's like a little bit above your character, but it's hard to like really concentrate on that if you're new to the genre in general and you
Yeah.
just see all the shit on the screen, you're like, fuck this.
Yeah, it's a little bit like what Thomas was talking about when he was playing that I can't remember the name of that game, the typing game, where you're like competing against other people. And like the way to be really fast at typing is to be able to read ahead and like start processing the words before you're actually typing them. And that's what I felt like I had to do in this game. Even on easy, I felt like I had to do that where like obviously I had to be dodging what was around me, but I also had to be looking at what was coming my way and thinking about the next pattern that's going to come. And there's just so much that I couldn't process it.
Yeah, that was like that problem, and I mean this is like skill issue get good, but that was one of the reasons why I said I felt like I was moving too fast is because like I was constantly trying to look ahead for like that little bit of open space where I could like maneuver around and not die. But I was like constantly like either overshooting it or like not tapping enough or yeah, I mean like I said, I think that's just get good shit, but um it was hard for me to like maneuver around just because I felt like I moved so goddamn fast while I was like trying to look ahead to find spaces to like operate freely in.
Yeah, and I do feel like, and this is definitely subjective, but I do feel like the default character you get, which is Tenchi, moved a little bit too fast. Because if you compare her to like the default character of a Touhou game, which is Reimu, she's always like a slower moving character, and her shots are homing, so you don't actually have to worry about like being under the boss. You can just always do damage all the time because your bullets literally home onto the enemy. Whereas Tenchi, she does have the homing shot, and like relative to the other characters, I think she moves like quote unquote slow, but like still it was pretty quick in my opinion. And I know that Jordan feels differently, but I feel like the better you are at these games, the more tolerant you are of like different speeds. Whereas if you're a noob, you definitely prefer and it feels better to play slower characters, I
I
think.
I think it is weird that she is as fast as she is. I mean, I like it, but yeah, I don't. I think it's better if she would be slower. Like I think Nibiru or whatever. Like I think that should kind of be the main character's speed because that character's slow as shit. And I think, like Seth said, like
Agreed.
it's a lot easier to accommodate to that versus Mako. I can't remember the druid's name is fast as fucking fuck. So like
Is that the cat?
it's the druid one. It's the one to the
Oh, never
right
mind.
of. It's yeah no. I can't remember. It starts with an M, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember her
she moves
staff. It's like
fast
a
as
tree.
fuck. She moves fast as fuck and she
Yeah.
melts bosses, but she's bad at clearing stages.
Yeah, that I guess that must be my problem then cuz that's the character I played the most.
Yeah, she's fast as fuck.
Cuz yeah, I played Nibiru and I didn't play Nibiru until after I wrote that, and playing that character was like, yeah, I wish they were
Yeah.
all this speed.
I definitely think Tenchi is a little bit too fast though, especially for being the default character. And also like the homing isn't as good as like the Touhou homing. Like if you don't stay beneath the boss with Tenchi, you don't clear the boss. Like the
Yeah, yeah,
homing is
your
basically like a stage
DPS.
clear homing. It doesn't really do anything on
Yeah,
bosses.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
what's
Reimu.
what was
Oh,
like
sorry.
was the penalty for like timing boss phases out? Because I couldn't remember what it was in Touhou.
You just didn't get the
You
bonus
just don't
points.
get a score bonus, and there's usually like challenge runs where people just do like pacifist runs where they just time out every pattern. So it's a
Yeah,
legitimate playstyle where it's not necessarily a penalty, but it makes it a lot harder, obviously, because you have to survive a lot longer.
yeah. I didn't know what the penalty was, but I felt like I was being incentivized to like make sure that it didn't happen. So I would like put myself in a lot of like very unnecessarily dangerous scenarios to try and like fucking weave across the entire like play field to try and kill the boss beforehand. When I think I probably would have had a much easier time if I just accepted the timeout.
Yeah, if you're good at dodging, it's like counterintuitive with like the way the countdown sounds and everything, but it's easier to just keep dodging than it is to try to follow the boss and a lot of the patterns.
I watched some like 1cc gameplay of this game, and I just see a lot of people using bombs pretty aggressively, which is what I started doing because like there's just certain patterns that bosses had that were like, I'm just not going to deal with this. I press bomb, I just move up to the boss and shotgun them.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
were a couple like with the last boss, Kronos, where I legitimately didn't know how the fuck I was meant to do it, and I was just glad I was on easy and the phase ended really fast.
I think Kronos is also harder than Thanatos.
Yeah, she seemed crazy. Like even on easy, she seemed pretty tough.
Yeah, that's why I think another reason why I think Tenchi's the best character is because I think her boss patterns are easier, specifically on the first boss and the last boss.
There's something this game does that's a little weird, or a little not necessarily weird, but different than other Touhou like bullet hells, where normally in Touhou games, when you die, your bomb stock gets reset, so it feels really bad. Like if you had like 8 bombs and then you die and then it goes back to the default number, you're like, fuck, I just lost all that efficiency. But in this game, it doesn't like you have less bombs, you get 2 bombs basically, and it doesn't reset. So when I noticed that, it made me realize that maybe I should be using these bombs more aggressively because it's I kind of think of it like kind of like an MMO like WoW or Final Fantasy 14 where like if you don't use it and it caps and like if your bomb stock is capped and you there's like bomb pickups on the screen, I feel bad if I don't just use a bomb first because I feel like I capped on that resource.
I basically just treat bombs as extra lives with like a skill check.
Yeah, that's kind of how I came to think about them. Was I used them almost purely defensively, like almost all the time.
I know that's what you're supposed to do, but like I'm just not good at the timing where you press it like right when you die and it like kind of cancels out your death.
Mhm.
I just whenever I got scared, I would just press it. I was like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah, with this game, it's a lot easier than Touhou because Touhou is like a very tight fucking window, and you basically have to press it at the same time you get hit. This game, you get that five
Yeah.
second countdown that's pretty quick. But like
Yeah.
the
Oh, wait, I didn't wait. You can just press it anytime during that timer?
yep,
Oh yeah.
Oh my fucking god.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
Wait,
know
you
this
got
that.
game is
Touhou
like
pills.
easy then.
You got Touhou pills.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
Oh
sitting
my
here.
god.
I was sitting
Oh,
here
wow.
thinking, like, my God, how long of a window does he want? Because it's fucking long.
Oh, I didn't know that's how. Oh my god, that's
yeah.
so stupid.
The
Wait, that
weird
makes
This
part
this
game
game
would
about
have
so much
been
easier.
this game would have been so much easier if I knew that.
the
Oh
two
my
things
god, I feel so dumb.
about
Sorry.
that system in this game why it's annoying is that scoring is the same text and same font. So sometimes if you pick up one of the score things, you think you got hit, so you waste a bomb if you're near a bullet. And then the other thing is like there's no feedback really like visually like there is in like Touhou when you get hit by a bullet like you do. In this game you're kind of not sure, so you're kind of relying on like being able to recognize that timer. So those two things together makes it like worse.
There's another thing related to that that I kind of dislike, but I don't know if it's a standard in these games, which is that the like when you hold shift and you can see your actual hitbox, it bothers me that the color of you is like you that color can be any bullet that's coming in. I feel like it should
Yeah.
visually stand out.
Yeah, they do a better job of that in Toho for sure. It's like the super bright white dot that you cannot mistake for anything else.
This game has a lot of visual clarity issues though, like the boss portrait that shows up will hide bullets. When you bomb, you like
Ah, that made me so mad.
there's that. There's when you bomb, the bomb doesn't clear the bullets until you're not invulnerable anymore, which is a Touhou thing. Instead, it just clears the bullets at that time, and then you're invulnerable for a little bit afterwards. But then more bullets can spawn, so you get put in weird spots. It's like a lot of weird small things like that that kind of makes this game inferior to like a lot of the standards
Yeah,
that
I
Touhou came
agree.
up with.
Yeah, the boss portrait thing showing up and like taking up a shitload of space for way too long is definitely something that like really annoyed me.
The boss portraits thing I'm pretty fine with because that's pretty conventional in like Touhou games, but usually in those games when the portrait's on the screen, like there is no chance of you dying because like the
Exactly.
patterns don't start until like a couple seconds
Yeah.
after it gets dismissed. But in
Yeah,
this game, you
Yeah,
you can get
exactly.
fucked.
that's the
And
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something
that's
that
very
really
weird.
bothers me because like in Touhou games, like the way you're meant to like collect the power ups is you go near the top of the screen. And if you do that in this game on a boss pattern,
Yeah.
normally in Touhou, if I see the boss portrait, I'm like, okay, it's free time for me to go up there and collect the power ups. In this game, you might just fucking die if you
Yeah.
do that, and it's
Yeah.
really annoying.
Yeah, I
Yep.
don't really
Exact
understand
same
the
issue.
decision. Like you don't really get out of any you don't get anything out of it because like you just can't even appreciate the pattern that they're creating because it's a new phase, right? So the first time you get there, it's just going to feel like bullshit most of the time.
Yeah,
Also, just on the specific pattern stuff, I feel like this game doesn't have as cool of like, oh shit, what's about to hit me before it hits you. Like, I feel like that's what Toho does fucking awesome. Where like a bunch of shit happens at the top of the screen, and then it starts to come down after you get to go like, holy fuck. This game is kind of just like the bullets are just in your face before any cool shit happens.
yeah, for sure.
But I
There's
mean,
less
that's
of a
like,
cascade in this
yeah.
game than like Touhou, where like it kind of it's kind of like Cave like in that sense, but Cave is like a different kind of paradigm where it's not like Touhou at all, where it's much
Hmm.
more about like being frenetic, and it works in those games a lot. Whereas in this game, it feels like there is no time to appreciate kind of
Yeah.
like the creativity bunching up at like the top of the screen, and then like bits of it come down towards you over time. Whereas it
Hmm.
just feels like it's pretty consistent from top to bottom, which is not necessarily it doesn't evoke a good feeling. It
Yeah,
makes you
I
feel
agree.
like you can't relax at all.
I think there were like one or two, maybe three examples where it does that. There's like the one boss I think in like the space level where he makes like a box and a diamond and another box and shoots those down. Even that's kind of cool, but yeah, it's definitely an exception to what I think should be a rule.
Hmm. Yeah, this game kind of feels between like Cave and Toho. Because yeah, Cave kind of feels like it's just like here's bullets and then they're in your fucking face, and then you're just like Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And this game kind of felt more like that. Like this game also doesn't cut off the screen like Toho does. Like I feel like Toho is very like screen space is a like something you need to manage. But this game you kind of feel like you can just kind of freely get back to the center very easily, except on some like circle the screen patterns that the game does.
Yeah, for sure. While we're talking about Cave, I wanted to talk about something else that Thomas put in the OneNote, which is like, should these games have a story? And from when I first started playing Bullet Hells like a billion years ago, I pretty much only played Toho-like games. I never touched a Cave game for a long time, like several years until after I played Toho. And after I saw like how Cave does it, where there is a story, but it's like the kind of thing that you read about in a wiki. There's no dialogue from the bosses or any of the characters. It's just gameplay, and I feel like a lot of these games would benefit from that. Cause like I don't know if anyone ever reads any of the dialogue, but I did not.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I said in the fucking OneNote, every time a dialogue option. At first, I was pressing Z Z Z Z Z, but then I found out I can just press X and skip the whole thing and just get to the point.
And then you were today years old when you found out that there's an option in the settings where it just get auto skips dialogue.
Yeah,
Oh shit, that'd be even
I
better.
so I actually left that on for one reason. It's because if you turn that off, the boss shoots their patterns like immediately after they appear on the screen, and it like
Yeah.
fucking like startles me.
Yeah, I don't really know what I've never played Toho, but I don't see what having a story at all in this style of game does for it.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, I agree, but like I mean, the Toho fandom is real. Like that's fucking huge.
Yeah, but
And
the
I
way
don't know
that
if that's like the story or if it's just that people like Rule 34 or like what the fuck is going on
yeah,
there.
so the way that I look at it is like if you look at the community of like the Toho games as like a Venn diagram, there's like three circles. There's people that play the game, people that like the story and the lore and will like read all that shit on the wikis, and then people that just jack off to the hentai. And there's actually very, very small overlap of those three circles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm firmly in the play the game circle.
Oh yeah, I've known enough people who are in 2 out of the 3 circles, and I'll just leave it at that to like realize that I'm good.
Yeah, the dialogue in this game though, I gave it like one chance at like the first dialogue, and then just between it being like generally boring and then also having the Phoenix Wright dialogue thing, I was like, no, I'm out.
Yeah, I was the same. Like my first playthrough, I stopped and read it and everything else, and after that, I was like, nah, just give me the game.
I thought one thing, like aside from the dialogue, because obviously it just kind of sucked. I thought it was cool how you like, and this might be a Toho thing, I don't know, but like the way you kind of recruit the characters that you defeat, and when you like get to them by playing that character, it's kind of like a new boss. I thought that was kind of cool.
No, I
Yeah.
think that's unique to this game, or not
Yeah.
necessarily unique to this game, but in most Toho games, you just get all the characters at the beginning,
Yeah.
and usually they are not bosses. Like the characters you play as aren't the bosses, like in this game.
Sometimes they are though, right? I thought they were in like
Sometimes,
Imperishable Night
yeah.
or something.
Like, I'm
They
trying to
are.
think of one,
They
but
they definitely are sometimes. I don't know the exact games, but I feel like that is definitely a thing.
if they
Yeah,
are, I think it's in the spin-offs. Because like in the mainline games, I don't think that. Maybe I shouldn't speak so absolutely. So I'll just say that at least to my knowledge, off the top of my head, I can't think of any examples of that.
I thought it was Imperishable Night, and I thought it was like in stage 4. It depended on what character you were playing, because then you would fight the other character as a boss, I think. Because I
Maybe.
remember in the practice menu, it's like 4A, 4B, 4C, and I thought that was what character you were, or something. It's something, I think. I don't know.
Phantasmagoria, you can play as both Reimu and you fight as Reimu.
Yeah,
It's like
but
the first
that
one.
isn't that the PvP one, or am I thinking of something else?
I don't think so. Am I crazy?
Phantasmagoria. I might have to look that up. Because
These
like
are
I
all
know
early
there's like
ones,
a
though.
Yeah. I think it's like exclusively the earlier ones.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the PvP one. So that I mean that makes sense. Like, cause I'm looking at a screenshot, and you've got like the
No,
two.
no. Phantasmagoria of Dim Dream. That's like the old ass one. It's like
Oh,
the third
gotcha.
game.
Not Flower View. Gotcha.
No.
Oh, is that one of the PC-98 ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are fun. I don't even like consider those. Those are so old.
Well, I think I'm guessing where we're going to be unanimous is our praise for the music, though. My God, I don't think there was a miss in this entire game.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, the third stage song is so fucking sick. God damn.
I really liked. I think it was the 5th stage that has the like night pop, fucking night core situation where you just feel like you're in the back room of a party hearing the reverb. I thought that one was really cool. The boss song was good too.
I feel like the only song that was a miss for me was the last boss song when it like jumps into the fucking like metalcore guitar riff shit. I didn't like that very much, but everything else was really good.
There's something that I really do like about these games, specifically like the indie versions of these bullet hells, is that they do like that little scroll at the beginning of the stage that where they like show the name
Yeah.
of the song, they credit the artist. I actually like that
Mhm.
kind of shit a lot.
Same. Also like it as a reference point for knowing where the first enemy is going to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really appreciative of that because otherwise I would have never known that Zabutom did one of the songs in this game. That guy owns.
I would go so far as to say that far more games should do that style of thing when they have outside artists like this.
Yeah. This game is like old as shit too for something to do that, because I feel like that's kind of like a newer convention. But yeah, this game is what, like 2015 on Steam or something, and probably even older than that on itch.
I do feel
Well,
like it's copying the Touhou thing, right? Because
Yeah,
Touhou
yeah.
has that.
Yeah, Touhou has that, but Touhou Zune doesn't have to credit the artist because he
Yeah,
makes all
he
the
just-
music himself.
Yeah, he just
But
puts
yeah.
the title up there.
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess that's the difference. It feels a little douchey when you're like, here's the name of my song versus like
Yeah,
credits.
and the name of your song is like Mooned Insects or whatever the fuck.
I do kind of want to briefly shit on the art though, because like, bro, I'm even just looking at this Steam banner page and it just looks like someone's deviant art page. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean, I think it's a step up from Zune's drawings, but it's
Yeah,
the
for
same
sure.
feeling.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, compared to Zoom, this shit is like Michelangelo. But yeah, I understand what you're saying generally, where it's very much like deviant art
Yeah.
versus art.
Like if you look at the Steam banner thing, you've got like the fox girl, the second stage boss. I don't know any of their names, and like the eye is clipping through her hair on the right hand side.
Mhm.
It just looks fucking ridiculous.
That's like an anime thing though, where like their
Yeah.
hair, like the eyes render on top layer.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
like that's like particularly egregious in that one though.
I mean, you're
Or like
pointing
the
it out for that character, but look at the blue-haired girl on the left. It's even worse.
yeah.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's just not very good. Not important, but also not very good. I did think that the sprites in game looked pretty good though.
Yeah, I
They're
agree.
fine.
My only like minor criticism, maybe this is just another get good thing, but I felt like I could never look at them because, like Thomas, you called out how you liked the how it had like the boss HP percentage at the bottom, but and like it had it around the boss too. But like since it's closer to me at the bottom, I can just look at that, and I felt like I kind of liked only having, or I liked the idea of only having the boss health at the sprite because then I can actually like have a reason to look at the sprite, you know.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I found like I felt like I never had too much issue with being able to like glance up top to like see shit. Orienting myself was a little bit harder, but like taking in what things looked like, I felt like I never had too much of an issue.
Yeah, and this kind of ties back to what we were talking about earlier with the bullet patterns being like too consistent when they come from top to bottom as opposed to like cascading. Because like during that like cascade where it like builds up at the top, that's when you can like appreciate the shit up there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you just don't really get too much time for that in this game.
Yeah, this game
It's
definitely like doesn't stop and take a breath the way I feel like Touhou games do. That do give you that like chill out time.
It also made me kind of wish there were more bosses like the little the UFO one where it's like a much larger sprite
Yeah.
that is like that's very memorable. Everyone knows what I mean when I say the UFO one. I wish there
Yeah.
were a little more like that.
This game definitely
Yeah.
just has the Touhou problem of like it's just all you fight little girls versus cave games where
Mhm.
you like fight fucking trains and shit like that.
Yeah.
Fortresses.
Yeah, and they just take up the whole top of the screen, so you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about aiming. You just have to worry about not
Exactly.
dying.
And I don't mind that aspect of it because it's like it's a little bit different to have to like keep track of the boss while you've got like a timer, right? So
Yeah.
it's not like a bad thing, but um, yeah, I feel like mixing it up a little bit is also
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Well, we kind of expected this to be a shorter episode, but is there any other stuff you guys want to get to before ratings?
I was just looking at this to see if there's anything else I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, let's go to ratings. Why don't we start with Thomas? We'll go Thomas, Ben, Jordan, me.
Oh God. Um. Yeah, I played this game for a solid 3.5, 4 hours maybe. And this was really the first time I'd spent any amount of time with a
Mm.
shmup, much less a bullet hell in like the better part of 2 decades. So it was kind of fun to get back in the driver's seat and like play them again. Which is like probably a complimentary thing about the game, right? Is that like I was playing and it really just made me want to go back and play some of the newer Touhou games that I haven't played, which is basically all of them. And so I did. I enjoyed my time with this game. I'm not going to say this game like blew me away, but um, I think as far as bullet hells go, it's really well crafted. I think it borrows all of the best aspects of Touhou games and some of the bad aspects, but that doesn't really have or didn't really have any effect on my opinion of the gameplay itself. But I think for a game that was solo devved and was clearly made with a degree of love, it had enough like nice touches and detail in it, and the soundtrack was awesome. And I did feel like the boss patterns were fun, even though, like I said, I never managed to get past easy because I fuck at these games. But yeah, this was a nice little game. Like I said, it didn't blow me away, but I certainly didn't dislike it. So I think this one sits kind of at a very solid like 7.5 out of 10 for me.
Baboom!
Damn, Seth got it straight on.
Nailed it.
When I have the hints from doing our guesses late, I'll get it every time.
Very,
that
very
makes
true.
sense.
You are a cheater. This is like the second time you've gotten to cheat in 3 weeks. That's some bullshit. Everyone got to cheat this week, though, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, this
I
is on
used-
you guys. Let's be real. All right, Ben, you're up.
Oh, right. Okay, so let me think about this, because I do think pretty highly of this game, and I do think some of that is credited towards the price point, which is 0, aka free, aka like it's just infinite value add because you don't have to pay anything for it other than your time. Is it worth the time that you play it? I think so. It's a good time. It's a short time as well. I do think that's especially after speaking it with you guys, especially after like Jordan brought up some stuff. Like I think that some of the execution of the mechanics and the systems were clumsy. Some stuff that I didn't even mention because there's just a little like too enthusiast to like discuss. But like outside of that, like I feel like for its price point, it just punches above its weight class, and I have to give it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, I think I might have had 8 in there originally.
That's a tough guess. I don't think I would have guessed 8. I was either 9 or 10.
So
I think 9 is a pretty safe guess. I was thinking 9 before we discussed it more, but then I dropped it to 8 mid discussion.
So I'm curious what
Yeah,
the like enthusiast mechanics things are that you didn't want to go into detail about. Are you talking about like the vector normalization
Yeah,
shit?
yeah, stuff like that where so and I actually did experience that specifically when I was making my own Ball of Hell where like I did have to I mean it's saying that like it was like some involved thing when all I did was just Google the Unity documentation and look how to normalize a vector. That's all I did. But basically what happened is like if you have your directional vectors where if you press up on the keyboard or down, that's like the Y movement vector and left and right is the X movement vector. If you don't normalize it and you press both up and right at the same time, for example, it'll add both velocities equally. So you move faster diagonally than if you were just to move in the cardinal directions, which can feel very awkward. And I think a lot of people that play these games don't like that. I think they prefer having it normalized because that's more arcadey when it's very consistent. And I do have to give this game a lot of credit where it didn't fall into any of like the Euro trash kind of traps where like you have like momentum and inertia. That is like kiss of death
Oh
for
Yeah.
any people that likes these games. If you have that shit, that's an uninstall.
Yeah, that's fucking awful.
Are there even any like bullet hell games that do that?
That'd be
Ones that are made
impossible.
in like there's a reason why people look down on like games that are labeled Euro trash and they literally call them Euro trash because it's usually European developers that make games like that where they try to like make it quote unquote better with like additional like meta progression systems and stuff that people that play these games don't care about. They just want the arcade like speed running kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny hearing you talk about the vector stuff though, because like the classic like canonical example of that I think at least some people of a certain age are probably aware of is like going up ladders in gold source games. Like if you're going up a ladder in Counter Strike, it's significantly faster to hold like up and right or up and left than just holding up. Like you go like 2 times faster. And I bet it's like the exact same
Yeah,
thing.
it sounds like the exact same thing going on.
All right, Jordan, you're up.
Yeah, I think this game's all right. I think it's just kind of like worse than Touhou in every aspect, though, except maybe like the character portraits. But I think that's kind of more your own personal taste than anything. Yeah, it kind of just like it's fine. It's like a fun shmup and everything, but I would never say to play this over Touhou, especially if you have like access to the Touhou games. So I think for me, it's probably like a 5.5.
Damn, I shot
knew
too
I sh-
high.
I
Damn, I
knew I
shot
should have
way
gone
too
with 5.5.
high.
I
But it
knew I
makes
should have
sense.
gone for it.
Knowing how consistent you are with the ratings, it makes like that ratings actually makes perfect sense for you.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
cave games are kind of my like peak of that shit, especially the Mushu Hime Shama 2 games. So, and I think that Like those games are just infinitely better than this game in every way, shape, and form. Like
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
sound, music, visuals, patterns, everything's way, 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 way better.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess I was like when I chose my rating, I was coming at it from the perspective of you were gonna judge it along the axis of like random Italian solo dev making it, rather than comparing it to those. Which I'm not saying you're wrong to do that. I'm just saying I thought you would give it more credence, I guess.
No. Typically, the only thing that I care about for that is the year you released it in. So,
Yeah,
like,
that's
off
fair.
being 2008 is it matters, but this game coming after all of the cave games and everything, it's like it didn't do anything that those games kinda didn't, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true. Because like yeah, 100%. I think you would be foolish not to say that cave shooters and Touhou games are just this, but better.
Yeah,
Better,
like
Like
yeah.
in every
or even
way.
like Ikaruga or Exceed. Like I really like the Exceed games, even though I don't even know if you can play those games anymore. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even like Ikaruga, and that's still like a significantly better game than this, I think.
Well, as for me, when we talked about mimic logic, we kind of talked about the maximum that a game can possibly get for like its specific genre. So like mimic logic was perfect at exactly what it was trying to do, but what it was trying to do can't really go past an 8. And I feel a little bit similarly about this game, where I don't think for me this game could have gone past a 7, because it's kind of what Jordan is saying, where it's copying so much from Touhou that I haven't even played it, but just knowing that it's taking so much from that means that there's just a cap to how good this game could be. I had a lot of fun playing this game. I haven't played a lot of shmups, like I've said, but I enjoy the challenge. It made me feel like I was playing Fury every now and then, and that's always a good feeling. Uh, but there were enough annoyances, there was enough overstimulation, and just kind of generally not enough mechanics going on for me to really like want to chew and like get deep into this game, that to a point where I would really love it. But at the same time, I have to balance that with what Ben has been saying, which is, yeah, this game's fucking free, and I consider that a lot in terms of the value of a game. Like, we are purchasing a product, and this game was free, and I had a lot of fun with a free product, and I can't hate that. I was a enjoyer of Flash games back in the day, addictinggames.com, congregate.com, all that good stuff. So it had that kind of nostalgic factor for me that I appreciated. So again, it could not have gone past a 7, but I had a lot of fun, and I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Yeah, nailed it.
Nice.
Oh,
I
boom!
also guessed
Nice.
just about the same numbers for everybody because I thought this was gonna be like a pretty unanimous like 7 style game.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought the same.
Wish I was on the same wavelength with you guys. That being said, we kept bringing up Fury. I really do want to touch that because I never beat that game. I think I, I think the farthest I got wasn't actually playing it. I think Seth, you played my copy of Fury for me on my PS4
Yeah,
at
I got you the
Southernwood
trophies.
Way.
Oh, that's funny. That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was actually thinking that this game made me want to pick Fury, so I might do that after my other pick. I'm not going to say because it's
Nice.
not our next game, so no spoilers. Yeah, I'm probably going to pick that after my next pick, because yeah, I think that game is incredible. I think I don't know. I'm curious to revisit it because I think the ending I'm a little bit mixed on in hindsight, but I think the actual gameplay of that game is like pretty close to unbeatable, and I'm curious where you guys will fall as bullet hell enthusiasts. But with all of that being said, this was only our intermezzo for Ben's actual pick. So Ben, what will we be playing next week?
We will be covering Fate Stay Night remastered, only the first route, which is called Fate.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
that'll be fun. I've like this is like the third time I'll have experienced Fate Stay Night from a different production studio, but
Hmm.
only the first time I'll have experienced it from the original.
Yeah.
So
I gotta give a
I'm.
warning to Seth on Fate. Like, you probably want to play it sooner rather than later because
Oh yeah, do not put it
that
off.
game's like a it's like being in like a time chamber. Like, I feel like I've played that game for 45 hours, and then I look at the time, and it's like 11, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
That was Jigoku Kisetsukan, Sense of the Seasons. Next week, we're playing Fate Stay Night Remastered. I think that's what Ben said.
Yep.
We'll see you next week.